It's spring and we're all psyched to get out there and go buy plants. But in order to have great results in your gardens, like we see at the garden centers, I'm going to show you some key things for transplanting plants so they just take off in your gardens. First of all, when you're looking for plants, I know we all want to grab the plant that has the most flowers on it, but really the best plant to transplant in your gardens are those that are either just going into flower, just budding up, or don't even have buds at all yet. That means the energy is going down into their roots. That's where you want it right now, as they're moving across to your yard. So look for plants that aren't in heavy bloom. In this case, I am going to be planting a gorgeous foxglove. This is called Pam's Choice. It was introduced a few years ago. Stunning white with purple throats. Exquisite in the garden. As you can see, this one is sending up buds, but it's not opened up yet, so it's not in that full push on the flowers at this point. So you're going to select a plant that looks good, and then, this is hefty, almost heftier than I am at this point. Then what you're going to do is to take the plant out of the pot. Oh, before I forget, one other thing before you take it out of your pot. It really helps if you first water in the plant well in the pot, especially if it was dry from the garden center. So, I have to edit this around a little. I'm going to grab my watering can. Make sure I also soak it in the pot first. You can even do this the day before you're going to plant so that it's really soaked in. The roots are really moistened before they even go into the ground. Then you're going to take your pot, bring it over to the area where you're digging a hole. In this case, I'm going to put it by some ornamental grasses. And then you're going to take it out of the pot. I find the best way to do it is keep your hand at the base of the plant to hold it in place so it doesn't slap on the ground. And then bounce it out of the pot. You can see this plant, here's a good example. This plant is very root bound. And what I mean by that, you're either going to see very heavy netting of roots, or you're going to even see where roots are girdling, actually starting to coil around the pot. In that case, do not plant it like this directly into the ground. You're first going to do a little homework. You're going to place it on the ground on its side. You're going to grab either a sharp knife or a hand pruner like this, and you're going to do what we call scoring the root systems, so that you're actually breaking up the surface of the root ball, so that the roots are now going to start to train to go out into the remaining soil. You can even use your hands like this. It looks rough, just get by it. Just do it, as the Nike ad says. Really get this thing to think about pushing roots out into the surrounding soil and not just staying inside and basically starving itself to death. Okay? Now that I've got the root ball in place, most plants, especially in the spring, will not be this way. They'll have a fresh, new growth of roots that look great, and they'll never need this manhandling. But sometimes you get plants in the spring like this. This is very common in the fall at garden centers, where the plants have been in the pots all summer long and they start to really grow into themselves. So it's really key to break that root mass out. Then I'm going to grab my shovel and I'm going to dig a hole. As you can see, one of the things I encourage people to do all the time is not to be stingy with the hole. You really want the hole to be, 1.5 size the container, so that you've really fixed the soil, made it easy for the roots to spread out to. And if you're like the majority of Americans, we aren't blessed with really good soil, so we're going to need to fix it. We're going to need to help it have a better structure, the way the soil fits together, as well as add nutrients with soil amendment. And the best product, I use this all the time, is Coast of Maine. It's an incredible product. They have many different products that they sell. All of them are exceptional depending how you're using it. This is the compost and peat blend that you can put into the hole. So what I'm going to do is I'll take a shovelful or a handful. I'll put it into my soil. In this case, it's kind of clayey soil. I don't care if it's sandy soil or clay. This incredible soil amendment will help either one by adding this, mixing it into your existing soil. See what I'm doing? Now what I've done is I've at least spot amended this area so that when that plant goes in there, it's going to be able to easily get through this friable soil, so its roots really set out quickly. And I've also added nutrients like nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium to the hole. So now I've amended my soil hole. At this point, I take my plant. I set it, oh man, this is a big one. Why did I pick such a big one? I set it into the hole. Actually, this is too small. Hold on. Do a little mending here. And I'll add a little more. All right. Take my plant, set it into the hole so it's the same height as it was in the container. A little higher there. But I want to make sure it's not planted deeper than it was in the pot or above the ground. I want to make sure it's at the same height. All right. So now I've got it set in place. Last thing you're going to do before you push in soil, you're going to take an organic product like Plant Tone. This is a slow feed fertilizer that will fertilize the plant for 3 to 4 months. So I'm going to take a little bit of this, follow the directions for the amount. On the back of the packet, you'll see, based on the size of the plant, how much to add. I'm just going to roughly do it because I've done this so much. So I usually use gloves, but I love my hands in the dirt. I'm going to simply sprinkle this in around the plant's root system, all right? So now it's the organic soil amendment, Coast of Maine, has mixed with my soil, and now I'm giving it a 3 to 4 month slow feed of fertilizer as that little extra push for the rest of the season. Then I'll get my watering can. Where'd I put it? I'll give it a drink of water before I push the soil in around the roots. Now I'm basically diluting that fertilizer so it's washing down all around those roots, in with the mixed soil and compost. And then I simply push the soil back around the plant, tuck it all in. Tamp it down, as we say, gently. You don't have to jump up and down on it. Just push that soil around it, tamp it down good. And then the last thing before you say goodnight to it, goodbye, you're going to give it one more feed of water. Just to water it one more time. And then that should be it for an incredible start. So then, once this is planted, you'll still need to keep helping it along for the first couple weeks as those roots are settling into the soil that we just, corrected and mended. So every 2 or 3 days, depending on natural rainfall, go out and give it a drink of water, and then eventually, I say after about 2 weeks, you can be able to back off to maybe 1 watering a week, possibly 2, especially if you have sandier soil. But remember, we've amended the soil with organic compost, which helps hold moisture more around those roots. So we conserve water by doing that.